English translation, 24th contact Saturday, 7th June 1975, 0908, HRs.
It seemed necessary to me after our last contact to once again look around in the development of your things. This is because shortly after our meeting I caught some thoughts from Hans Jacob. I noticed that you were with him at the time and discussed various facts with him. Some thoughts escaped him which reached me uncontrollably. These were very interesting for me, and so I tried to find them. I then also made the observation that Hans Jacob was once again allowing his thoughts to slide very negatively into paths that I had already had to complain about, especially because they were harmful to our task. In addition to sectarian concerns, this also concerns the demand to make my beamship and myself visible to him and others. I must therefore reiterate that this is not possible, as I have emphasized on a number of occasions. But Hans Jacob simply cannot overcome this, because on the one hand he wants to play a decisive role, which I cannot allow, and on the other hand religiously sectarian doubts arise in him again and again. These apparitions let him dress his desire in words that do not correspond to the facts as desired. If he therefore expresses the demand for a contact, then this is not based on the fact that such a contact could be asserted as a further aid and proof against third persons, etc., although this thought also plays a part in his demand in minimal forms. Basically, the wish requirement only appears because first and foremost cooperation and doubt play a decisive role. The last time I try to explain that contacts of any kind with human beings other than you are completely impossible for the following reasons. 1. When we connect with an Earth human being, then this requires his previous and decades-long study in all areas. 2. We can only connect with human beings of the Earth if the necessary spiritual and conscious prerequisites are given. It is therefore not enough to be consciously fit alone, because above all, mental development is important. 3. We can only communicate with an Earth human being if he has progressed so far in his development that he is able to independently work out and recognize the fundamental truth in the truth without taking into consideration any expressions of fellow human beings or any written works or religious or sectarian norms. 4. If we get in contact with an Earth human without these conditions being fulfilled, such contact is only a temporary undertaking for a certain purpose, after which the memory of us, etc., is eliminated in the person concerned, such as in the case of the person through whom we let find the place of the Talmud. But any tasks that would require a pre-public step cannot be imposed on such persons because memory is continuously eliminated in them and they are neither aware of connections nor of precise facts. But also such Earth humans must be very far developed in certain fields of knowledge. For example, the location finder of the Talmud, who was very well versed in languages and whom we unfortunately expected too much of. 5. When we connect with Earth humans, we do so according to certain higher orders and only exactly according to the number of forms intended for this purpose. This is partly due to the fact that too many human beings in the first place would spoil everything. I remember in this interpretation a saying that you use very often, and that is very true in this matter. Too many cooks spoil the broth. A fact which also proves its correctness in the teaching of the laws and commandments of creation and maintains the iron order. Creation alone is the determining factor. 6. We must not make ourselves visible to more earthlings than this corresponds to our responsibility. This caution corresponds to special concerns of private, military, and governmental demands aimed at getting hold of our ships and all other things. Contacts with more than one person would therefore be harmful and dangerous for ourselves. Therefore, we can only maintain contact with human beings of the Earth who can harmonize with us in terms of vibration and who are known to us as absolutely trustworthy and safe in every respect. And especially for our special task with you and your group, this is of far-reaching importance. In this, we must therefore be sure in every respect that the contact person, if necessary, uses every conceivable means to prevent terrible consequences. 7. The fact that we only identify ourselves to certain selected human beings of the earth and communicate with them on secret paths and in impassable places also has the reason in it. Innumerable people are only hectic for sensations and selfishness if they only want to get in contact with us for these reasons. But there are also the countless human beings who would panic if we were visible to them, which could have very dangerous consequences. These are only 7 reasons why we cannot respond to Hans Jacob's request. There are many other reasons to be mentioned, but the ones given should really suffice. And this is really supposed to be the last time I had to talk about it. For the Earth humans to whom even a little logic is inherent, these interpretations will also suffice. In view of the emergence of this new demand for contact with me, or for the sighting of my vessel, I would like to make the following further comments, although I have already made various attempts to explain these contact requests. I have made explicit and clear logical statements that only you alone are capable of this connection in decades of work and have been chosen for it, and that no further persons from your or other circles are to have touch or speech contact, which is impossible for them in this life alone, according to their vibrations, which become dangerous to us, however, unless their development rises in highest forms. The new demand, however, prompts me to consult the others again about my offer, that I want to demonstrate the possibilities of our energies at a certain point in time before going away for a long time. This renewed desire from your group causes me to think whether I have not again become subject to a mistake which I do not wish to make. Unfortunately, it is often very difficult to find our way in your human beings of the earth because through the uncontrollability of your feelings, we are often misled and then have to correct ourselves. I must therefore consult with the others at another time as to whether my proposal was a wrong or correct decision, which would render the demonstration null and void in the event of a negative decision.
I am really sorry that you became aware of our conversation, because for my part, I would have concealed Hans Jacob's new wish from you, because I feared exactly what you just made clear.
I was already aware of that, and that is why I spoke of it for myself. But I have other things I need to tell you. You have made an agreement with Hans Jacob. So tomorrow he will come to you with an Earthwoman who, mistakenly said, has already made considerable progress in certain areas of development. After establishing this agreement, I tried to get this woman and found some things in relation to her abilities and the recognition of the truth. The result is that in certain things the woman walks on the paths of truth, which are, however, often connected with ambiguities and even with heresies. In particular, this results in things that are unrealistic and unreal. In particular, this applies to things of religion and the associated erroneous teaching of godliness and spiritual ascension. It is recommended that you also pay attention to the fact that the woman has fallen into unreal assumptions in relation to spirit, soul and body, etc., and lives in this regard in the assumption of a trinity, even a quadrinity. So it would be very good if you would draw her attention to it. Even if she will not be able to recognize the facts for the time being, a certain substance remains in her. The most evil false doctrine in her is that of the interpretation of religion, because as I have recognized, it runs retrograde in her search for truth, thus religiously. This means that she seeks the truth in the divinely retrograde and divinely reconnected precisely according to the meaning of religion, and thus is not able to recognize the effective truth. Religion in this sense is deadly and enslaved to consciousness and inhibits the human being from finding the basic truth. Therefore, explain to the woman that she must not think religiously, that is, not religiously back-connected, if she wants to find, recognize, and evaluate the truth. All truth and all knowledge have been transmitted up to the present time and have remained constant even when they have been forgotten, falsified, despised, and slandered by mankind on earth. And since truth, knowledge, wisdom, and love, and all power of the Spirit, etc., are unchangeable and constant, also in the present time of the present, so it must be grasped and continued there. In other words, this means that truth, knowledge, wisdom, and love, etc., simply have to be brought together again. They have to be collected and put together again. As the human being, in his ancient language, calls the back connection religion, so in this case the reconnecting must be called in the same ancient language. So this means that everything has to be put back together again, and therefore has to be handled in a layering manner, but never religiously. The already existing truth and creative laws and commandments must therefore be reassembled in order to lead into the future. After the application of the religion, the path of evolution must be followed, which, however, has two meanings. The Earthman knows only one meaning, namely that evolution means a development and unfolding in the sense that something already existing, which is, however, still in the hidden, must be developed and unfolded, which therefore means that something must ascend from the unconscious or subconscious to the conscious. The second meaning of the term evolution was lost to man long ago, however, namely that something that does not yet exist must be researched, developed, and unfolded. And since this meaning of evolution has been lost to man on Earth, he also lives in the misconception that all evolutionary things already exist in man and only have to be unfolded and developed or released. The consciousness dwelling in the human being, however, has only stored in itself all those things and facts which it learns and collects in the course of its existence in the material body and life. This is, at your discretion, an enormous amount, but in truth, very little. In countless other lives, man must continue to research, seek, and find. He must therefore accumulate further knowledge, insights, and experiences, which are then anchored in him and in the storage banks as ability. Since besides the spirit, after the material death of the body, also the overall consciousness block dwells in the death life, and there it processes and anchors in itself the results achieved in life. This results in the factor called by you subconsciousness. Became human form again through a rebirth, the new consciousness, connected with the knowledge and ability of the storage banks via the subconscious, anchors itself in the human being, who slowly evolves through the material consciousness and through new learning and a gathering of knowledge and transforms everything into a conscious-based ability. So these are the facts that you have to explain to the woman visiting tomorrow because it is valuable to her. She is a person who does not yet know the ability of development, but who has partly already grasped something slight of the truth and should therefore be encouraged. It will be very difficult for her to allow herself to be freed of her erroneous teachings, but perhaps it will be worth the effort if you do something about it.
I will take care of that and talk to her about it. But if you have nothing else, then I want to ask you one more question.
For my part, I have explained everything I need to know.
Good. It is about the fact that, for example, in Gloria Lee's writing, Saturn beings are mentioned. In other writings, however, apart from Saturn beings, Uranus beings, etc., are also mentioned. Now that you know these planets, can you explain to me whether there are really any forms of life there that live their existence?
I know all those writings you left me to study. In these books, writings and works, however, I have only come across evil nonsense in this respect. The forms of life, etc., described in it do not correspond to any reality and no longer represent anything more than abnormal fantasy figures. On the other hand, there really are life forms there. but they are of completely different values than the man on Earth imagines this to be. With absolute clarity, it can also be said that until the hour I give you this explanation, the beings of these planets have never been in contact with human beings of the Earth, and cannot be, because they are of the lowest form, like viruses, bacteria, and microbes, etc.
What about Mars and Venus and other planets?
The same values remain. But since you are talking about Mars, I have been there the last few days and found something nice. I brought it for you. Here, it is a bigger piece of ruby and zoysit grund. Only slightly I worked it off while releasing.
Oh, thank you very much, Simya-se. That is really fantastically beautiful.
Sure, but keep it to yourself. I also have another piece of my homeworld that a friend of mine brought with me. It is a piece your friend wants if you can give it to him.
Thank you again, Simya-se. I am sure he will be happy too. Could you just bring me a piece of malachite and an emerald for my own collection, if you can?
Sure, but I do not want to bring emeralds into pure form, nor do I want to bring other things of noble values. The reasons for this lie in your materialistic world form.
I get it, Simya-se, but I am still grateful to you. But now I have to say again that I have to go, because my way home is very long, and at 12 o'clock I have to be there.
If you want, I can take you anywhere near where you live.
And my vehicle?
Oh, I did not think of that because we cannot bring that into my ship. With a bigger ship that would be possible, but not with this one.
That is all right. I had that guess too, so I asked. But you once told me at the beginning of our contacts that you would take me to a flight if the opportunity presented itself. Is that still true, or have you changed your mind?
This will soon be possible.
Good. Then I am happy about it, and now I am on my way home.